And when we look at the way the Oklahoma City Thunder have been performing so far this season, I don't think there's many adjectives to describe how well these guys are playing. So the adjective that I'm going to go with today is incredible. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder, they've been nothing short of incredible so far this season. We look at them in the 2024-2025 NBA year. They're 35 games into their season. They have a crazy record of 30-5, and they're also on the highest winning streak in the NBA right now. They've won 15 straight games, and this winning streak has been so impressive, especially when we look at the back end of it. I think the last couple of games that the Oklahoma City Thunder have played has really stamped how crazy their winning streak is. And I want to look at those last two games. The first win of those last two games came against one of the hottest teams in the Eastern Conference, one of the best teams in the NBA, a team with championship aspirations, the New York Knicks. And at the time, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say the New York Knicks, they were on a crazy winning streak of their own as well, but I can't remember if it was 9 or 10 games. But we saw the Oklahoma City Thunder, we saw them be down by as much as double digits, come back and be able to win that game against a New York Knicks team that have some players of their own that is having some very crazy individual seasons. When we look at what Karl Anthony Towns has been doing for the New York Knicks, and we all know what Jalen Brunson has done. So I thought the Oklahoma City Thunder falling behind to those guys and then finding a way to come back and win that game, very impressive. And then we get to their most recent win of the season, a very highly anticipated game. And I think the NBA, and I know it's very early in the season, but I still think they need to figure out a way to make these games national televised. That was a really great basketball game between the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder yesterday, but it was only on NBA TV. But I think that when you have Gilgeous-Alexander and Jason Tatum going up against each other and all the other great players involved in this matchup, you gotta have this as a national televised game. But nonetheless, this was probably the most, in my opinion, the most impressive win of the season for the Oklahoma City Thunder. We look at them going into halftime in this game being down double digits to the Boston Celtics. That is one of the scariest places to be, because the Boston Celtics, they have a high-powered offense and a high-powered defense, and we saw them fully loaded yesterday. We saw Kristaps Porzingis on the court, we saw Jaylen Brown, we saw Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, and then all those great role players to go along with those guys. And somehow the Oklahoma City Thunder, down 10 at halftime, they figure out a way to win this ball game by double digits. If I'm not mistaken, the final score to this game was 106-92 the Oklahoma City Thunder's way. So we saw them come out in the second half with a very, very frenetic energy on the defensive side of the ball, and then another MVP-like performance from Gilgeous-Alexander. So the Oklahoma City Thunder, this 15-game winning streak, it also includes teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, who's a top team in the Western Conference. They didn't have Ja Morant, but one of the biggest stories this year is how well that team has been able to play without Ja Morant. They've beaten the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've beaten a bunch of high caliber teams on this 15-game winning streak. And the way that the Oklahoma City Thunder are playing right now, a record of 30-5, 15-game winning streak, I can't say that I'm surprised when you look at the offseason that this team had. And I remember talking about this in the summer. I said it's not going to get talked about that much because it's not no flashy names involved, bringing in Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. A lot of casual fans don't understand how impactful these two guys are, especially going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we said that we're going to be looking at games on a random Tuesday night, random Wednesday night, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're spanking teams by 25, 30, 40 points, and we've seen that a few times this season. They've been very dominant, so I haven't been shocked there. Where I've been shocked at is the circumstances that the Oklahoma City Thunder have been doing this. The circumstances that they have been doing this under just makes it so impressive, because if you would have told me that coming into this season, that 10 games into the year, that Chet Holmgren was going to hurt his hip and he's going to be out for an extended amount of time, and prior to that, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're still going to be looking as elite as they are right now, and and they have a really good ball club. I don't think they would fall all the way to the bottom of the Western Conference without a player like Chet Holmgren. But to do what they've been doing recently, this 15-game winning streak, and still dominating from a defensive standpoint, still dominating from a net rating standpoint, I've been blown away from the Oklahoma City Thunder, because we look at what they're missing in Chet Holmgren. This isn't no ordinary basketball player. This is a very special basketball player who has the potential to be a superstar in this league. And I know Chet Holmgren, he's gonna make plenty of All-Star games in his NBA career. He's gonna make plenty of all defensive NBA appearances, and he's going to be in those Defensive Player of the Year conversations. So they're missing one of the best defenders in all of the NBA when it comes to protecting the rim. His timing is impeccable. He does a great job of blocking without fouling. It's something that makes him so special, so unique. And then we look at what he brings to the offensive side of the ball. He's an elite floor spacer. He's 7'1", and he can really shoot the blood out of the basketball. So and then he's so much more than a shooter offensively as well. He does a really good job of diving at the rim, putting pressure on the rim, finishing around the rim, whether it's catching a lob or catching it himself, putting it on the floor, getting downhill. He can dribble the basketball. He has post moves, and this is just his third year being a part of the NBA, but really just his second year playing basketball. So I've been really blown away that the Oklahoma City Thunder, that they've been able to perform like this without Chet Holmgren, still being by far the best defensive NBA team in the NBA, one of the best defensive teams that we've seen in the last decade. And they don't have one of the best defenders in the NBA. Now that's one thing that I am shocked about with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I can't say that I've seen that coming. So when Chet Holmgren, when he returns to this lineup healthy, we get to see a component of the Oklahoma City Thunder that we didn't get to see before, because we're going to get to see him play alongside Isaiah Hartenstein. And we didn't get to see that at the beginning of the season, because the 10 games that Chet Holmgren was available this year, Isaiah Hartenstein was out dealing with an injury. So it's going to be really, really scary when this guy gets back into the lineup. And we look at how the Oklahoma City Thunder, how they've been so dominant even without missing a player like Chet Holmgren. They've been able to rely on two things. They've been able to rely on their tenacious defense, and they've been able to rely on a very strong MVP candidate in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. When we look at them defensively, they're number 1 in the league in defensive rating, and they're also number 1 in the league in steals per game, and they're also number 1 in forced turnovers per game. This is one of the most frenetic defenses that we've seen in recent NBA history, and as much credit that we give to the players, we also got to give huge credit to Coach Mark, because I feel like he's doing a great job. Another interesting stat with the Oklahoma City Thunder is that they're number 1 in turnovers per game, which means they're turning the ball over the least amount in the NBA. So it says a lot about the players, but I think it says a lot about the coach as well, because he's putting these guys in terrific positions to be able to get the most takeaways in the NBA and then give away the least takeaways in the NBA. It makes a lot of sense why the Oklahoma City Thunder, a lot of the times that when they're winning these games, the final score is ending in double digits. They are really separating themselves from their opponents, and a lot of the time it starts on the defensive side of the ball. So I've really been impressed with these guys defensively. They have a great collection of perimeter defenders, and it's really hard to score the basketball on these guys. And then you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's done a great job offensively for the Oklahoma City Thunder so far this season. Now, I'm not going to say that OKC has been a bad offense this year, because they haven't been a bad offense. They've been a really good offense, but it's not the Oklahoma City Thunder offense that we saw from last year. They're still ranking top 10 in the NBA in offensive rating, at 8th at 8th in the NBA, and then in total points scored per game as a team, they ranked 11th in the NBA, I believe, at 111 points per game. So it's not that same prolific offense that we saw from last year. The three ball still isn't falling at a high percentage at the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's really the only thing. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for what they've been lacking from offense compared to last season, he's been doing a great job of putting up some MVP-like performances, putting his team on his back offensively, and having some big-time games. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander so far this season, he's been nothing short of ridiculous. He's averaging 30 points. He's averaging 31 points per game, at least 5 rebounds, at least 5 assists. He's shooting 52% from the field. This is a point guard who's starting from the perimeter every single play, starting with the basketball from the perimeter every single play. He's averaging 30, and he's shooting 50+% from the field. That is crazy. He's shooting 36% from three-point land, and he's also averaging 2 steals and 1 block per game. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I don't know what I can tell you guys about Shai Gilly that you don't already know. He had a big time performance against the Boston Celtics. He had a crazy block in the fourth quarter on Jason Tatum. He beat it off the glass, and that really just sums up the type of season that SGA has been having so far this year. So I've been really impressed with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're pitting on performances like this against some of the best teams in the NBA, and I don't think we've seen nowhere near the best version of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think we still have so much good to find out about this team. So and like we said, 35 games into the season, they have a record of 30-5, and that's what I was expecting for the Oklahoma City Thunder this season at full strength. Chet Holmgren being out for this long, I don't think he hasn't been a part of a single game on this 15-game winning streak, if I'm not mistaken. So this has been pretty crazy, but that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment down in the video how you feel about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.